Good morning. Scott Thompson here from Scott Art CNC. Uh, I'm going to take a few minutes and talk to you today about uh, Vectric's new Aspire version 12. And today is April 15th, 2024. So I'm going from a cold start about a week ago. I uploaded it because I had a whole bunch of files to build. And I thought, oh, there'll be some pretty cool new, in the past, there's been pretty cool new toys and tools, and I've enjoyed the updates and stuff. And I see there's a lot of questions on the internet right now about should I upgrade to V12 and is it worth $400 or whatever they're charging for it. And so I've been doing Vectric's Aspire since I think 2012. I start out on my Etsy store to show you guys. I've built hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of models. I have way over 200 models on Etsy, and I've built probably maybe somewhere close to 3,000 models over the years. I build 4 or 5 or 6 or 8 a week. Last week when the Spire came out and announced this is open, I live in Willow, Alaska, where the Iditarod is, and one of the mushers wanted me to do their whole dog team. So I have all these photos of, and I'm supposed to be modeling 16 dogs. And I thought, well, no problem. I'll do the update, find some new tools, bang, bang, bang. It'll work. It'll help me make these models quicker. And I ran into a bit of a wall because they changed it. And I have a good friend named Dave, and Dave knows who he is. I won't tell you his last name, or you guys will all be calling him and bugging him. But Dave walked me through some of the changes and got me to where I was more functional on V12. And I've come to the point. I won't say that I love it, but I can see where it's going to be a lot better for building tools. But even this morning, I'm on my third retake of this video because I got into some part of actually building a model and I choked on it a little bit. So I'm going to go build a dog model right now with you, and I'm going to show you what it is that what I'm seeing in Aspire, the new version 12. And let's open this up. So hopefully what you're seeing right now is a dog, one of the Iditarod dogs. It's a picture of it, and the new screen for V12. You can see Aspire 12.3. So I have gone ahead. A couple things are already in place. I've built all the vectors. I've also built what I call a skin, which is just the model of the photo, and I trim that down to match. And I tend to build models underneath these. I'm not going to go into this. If you go back to my YouTube channel and you look up build a beer can, you'll see how I got to this point and how to build vectors and stuff. But what I want to show you more specifically and tell you what you're about to walk into if you upgrade to version 12. Excuse me. There's my shout out to my friends at IDC. Their coffee mug. A little blatant promo there. What you're going to run into when you get into Vectric 12 is, for me, it's a little bit like I went away for a week and my mother-in-law went out in my shop and cleaned it and rearranged all the tools and put them where she thought they should be, and put them in and relabeled them and put labeled colors and sorted them and put them where she thought they should be. And I walk into my shop, I can't find anything, and that's a short version of what happened with V12. I opened it up and, right away, things like just using a split screen like this, we have the 2D screen, then you want to see what's going on over in the modeling screen. With that used to be right up here was where you click on that, and they moved it over here. And you think, well, that's not far. That's not hard to find, but the icon looks slightly different, and it's not where it was. And so yes, it's there, and now I know where it is. I can get to it pretty quick. They also changed all the tooling over here, all the tools that we use. And what they did is, I'm in components model, where you can see where the components are at. There's a clip art file folder here, and there's layers and sheets. I'm not going to talk about layers and sheets today because I'm not going to talk about them. I'm trying to just give you a quick glimpse of what's headed your way if you upgrade to Vectric's version 12. So, but they do have, what the big change is, that they have all of the tools now are on one screen. And if you recall, and I'm not going to do split screens because I just messed that up, but these all used to have their own screens. You'd have a screen for drawing and a screen for modeling and a screen for, these were all different screens. You had to click in and out of them. Well, now they put all the tools here. So they tried to get rid of some tools and combine some tools. And good on them that they got their inner mother-in-law working, and they're going to clean up my shop, and they rearranged all this. And some of the icons look a little bit different. So when you open it up, you're going to want to go through these and hover over them and refamiliarize yourself with where your favorite tools are and how to find them. And this is probably the like sculpting the visible model. This looks different. They have a little sculpting icon there, and that's a tool I use all the time. But it took me a few seconds to find it because it used to be up here in in the modeling tools, and it was somewhere up in this part of the screen. So it's going to take time to get used to finding these models. So let's look at modeling for a minute. See if I can do this right this time, because every time I do it, I mess up. So bear with. I think you guys will find this part of it interesting. So if we're going to build this dog, and I'm going to I'm going to go back into components for just a moment. I think you're going to find out we don't have to go there very often, right? And I'm going to turn off this model I built. And what I want to show you is that now for the first time, the vectors all reside in the 3D model side, which is particularly fascinating because when you're modeling, you can now modify these vectors and fix things you did wrong if they're a little bit off in this screen, which is pretty interesting tool and something that was going to make your modeling better, I believe. And it's probably, so if I'm looking for things that are profound good changes in V12, that's one of them. And if you watch how that plays out here in a few minutes, you'll kind of go, well, that's pretty slick way to fix models and work on them. So let's knock in some basic stuff here. So let's go back into the design page, and I'm going to build the model of this dog as quick as I can. So there's the body. What I would typically do is I'd click on this, create a rounded shape component. I'll click on that. And I'm going to say I want this to be, I'm just going to type in 1 and hit create. And a couple interesting things happen when you do that. The model creates, and then these additional icons show up over here. Now, these are the same icons that they kind of explain over here. So that's the scale of the model. That's the base of the model. And a lot of this, I have to tell you, is going to take some work by all of us to figure out. This tends to be the percentage of the. So what these mean is that right here, I can grab the actual model I'm building. This is the base of the model. Let's show you that first. So if I tell them I want the base to go up, you can see that I built a very high base. I don't want that, obviously. I want the base to be a lot less than that. I'm going to set the base for somewhere around 2/10, somewhere around 2/10 is where I want the base to be. But I want the actual model, which sits on top of that base, to be a little bit more than what it is. And this is where you start to get the shape of the model. And again, just by dragging, you create this shape. So I'm going to leave that about there for now in the dog's body. And if you guys haven't done this before, that skin is laying on top of all these components at this point, and it really gives you a chance to see if the components are in the right place or not. It's a pretty good. This is another tool they have up here, and I want to put that dog back where I'm looking straight down on it. Click on that, and you can actually drive the model by using this particular tool. I do it with my right mouse button, and it does it just as well. So let's add a couple more legs. I'm going to add this back leg, and this is where I keep choking when I'm doing this. Now what happens here is, you can see if you look close, I've built the vector wrong, and it's not going to intersect and go behind the body. It shouldn't actually go up behind the body. This dog's stomach he's a pretty lean pup. So I'm going to go ahead and build the model and then try to show you how I can fix that in the new version. So we'll hit create, and same thing, these tools show up. I don't want much of a base, but I'm going to give it a little tiny bit of a base. I'm going to go back here, and I want a little bit of shape to that leg, but not much. But now what we're seeing is, so what I've got is that leg needs to be up here higher. So what I can do now, I hit apply, and I'm going to come back here in, and I'm going to node edit this particular, and I'm going to drag this up here. And get that. Oh, well, there's actually a set of nodes around that I have to, these are the nodes I have to use. And then watch this now. So I did that wrong. I grabbed the nodes on the 2D side. But if you grab the nodes that are in the 3D model and pull those, this is all stuff you're going to have to learn along as you go. But what's happened now is I fixed that right here in 3D modeling. I had my vectors were a little bit off, and I like that. I've got it up where I want it. So, but let's go look at the rest of this. So here's what, when you look at this model, here's what the rest of the tools are down here that are, let's get back into components for a minute. So I'm running, this is, I'm going to call this, I'm going to rename this leg. Come on, help me with renaming here. Leg, I'll call it hind leg. I like that. So here's, so this particular tool right here, these icons, which I'll go back into design for a minute. These are the same, if I clicked on that, these are the same icons that were showed up in components. I can change the height of the entire base and the leg right here. Don't want to do that, but you can. Same here, you can model this, but this icon over here, I didn't really understand what it was until I started to play with it. But what it does is it opens up everything that would be in the components screen if you were looking at this leg. And it gives you those tools right here instead of having to go to the component. So in this particular case, I wanted to have, I want to change the combined status of this so that leg stacks below that. And you can see I just did it successfully right there. And so you can play with that all right here now. So for design purposes, once you get used to these tools, it's a lot quicker to play with those things in this screen and do all your work right in this tiny little area instead of, you know, it seems like going all the way across the screen with the mouse, and when you're doing designing and you have to go back and look over here, it does take minutes to do this sort of thing. And keep in mind, I'm going to do 16 dogs. So once I get proficient at this, it's better that way. So that leg is done. Now I can go, let's just go add in some other legs here really quick. This is an interesting one here. I'm going to type in one. I know there's something about that I'm missing. So here again, this leg is on the front of the dog's body. So I want the base to come, I don't want the whole thing to come up, which I grabbed the wrong icon right there. You guys will do this too. I'm going to grab the base and I want to bring the base up. And again, I can see I need to reset how this stacks so it doesn't lift the body when it comes up. And let's go back and lower the base down a little bit. I want it to just, you can see I want it to lay in front of this hind leg I did, and I want it to come up right to about where the body is. And I'll add a little bit of height here to that to get some of what's showing up there. And I'll let that go for right now. I'm going to come back and play with that in a bit. Maybe that's a little bit more than what I wanted. We'll stop that. Let's put in this is another leg that's in the background. So let's go to that. So there's not a button that says create and start a new model anymore. So that is an interesting change. So I'm going to get, here's another leg to get done. I'll type in one here to start, just to get the leg started and hit apply. So now it recognizes there's a model there. I'm going to give it just a little tiny bit of base, and I'll add a little bit of shape to it. I don't want it to show up beyond that other leg. So I'm gonna go back and adjust that down a little bit. You see I went negative there. Do that. I'll just leave it there for right now on that leg. I'm gonna some of this I'm not trying to make perfect right now because then let's do this other front leg. And again, a quick little, I know I'm gonna get lots of emails on this one. Let's create that leg. But again, this is a leg that's in the foreground. So it's already clicked here. I like that. I don't have to go in here and do it. I'm gonna raise the base up a little bit. Oh, that's not the base. Here's the base. Well, I'm not sure exactly what I did right there. There it is. Give me my tools back. Some of this has been, this is some of the part that's frustrating, like working in this leg right now. I want to work on this component right here. And I want these tools to show back up here. Click an object and select, click again to transform. So I clicked again, and what I'm doing is I'm getting that skin model, which is not what I want to work on. I want to work on this leg. Now, there it is back. Some of this is going to take that same kind of digging and pushing and trying to figure out, just exactly. So I want this leg to come up where it's just barely in front of the body. I'll probably stop it right there. I'll add a little bit of size to that. Let's go over here and do a tail really quick. I'm trying to get beyond this so I can show you a couple other tools here pretty quick. So I got to go back into this, and I want to click on the modeling, build that tail, type in 1, create. So I have the tail, and you can see I can do the work over here as well, but it's right here. I want that tail to have a little bit of shape. We'll just leave it about like that. That's good. Let's go over and click on the neck, create. And you can see, since I didn't actually create any depth to this up here, all it created was the base. And then once I add any kind of depth over there, I get that, which I'm not, let's just leave the neck about like that. I don't understand quite why they did that and how that's supposed to work, and I'm probably off on it a little bit. Let's do the head really, really quick. The point of this is I think a lot of this is, we're better for having all the tool work, the vast majority of the tool work occur right here in this little area that you're at, is versus having to go back and forth over here all the time. So there's an ear that's in the background. We'll give that a little bit of depth. Get this other ear. And I'm not usually, one of the things that happened before is you had to do create this tool and start a new one. And if you didn't hit that button, you would lose whatever change you made. So part of me is kind of happy that that's gone, because the number of times that I would do that and lose a tool or lose a model and have to go, oh, dang it, I forgot to save it. So in this particular, here's another one where that ear needs to stick out here a little bit on this side. Let me go back now, and we'll go back in, and I'm going to go back into the components area. I'm going to take this 3D skin, and I'm going to put it on top of all these components so it lays on top of them, and I'll turn it back on. Do that. And a couple things come to light when you do this, because it's a little bit like having, now what I can tell on that ear is that the ear shape's supposed to come down into here more. So if I click on that vector and I go back into my tools and I go, I really want this ear to come down here further. You guys are going to love this, because this is This is where it's the same thing down here on this dog shoulder. I think the shape of this dog shoulder is wrong, and by modifying the vectors in here, it becomes, you can change the shape of the actual model better. But I'm not proficient at it. I think I showed it to you a few minutes ago. You can change the shape after the fact, and I have to learn more about why this is not working when I do it this way. But it's a good, it is a good tool that's will add to how proficient we are once we do it. And again, there's all this help and stuff down here that I think it's kind of interesting that they made that available. And but that's, so the big changes for me is that, first off, they disrupted my whole workshop. It's they reorganized it, and I think it's better. And I'm a little bit like, well, why'd you do this to me, sort of a thing. But as I play with these and in the quiet of my own office, when I'm doing this without having a bunch of you guys watch, I think it's going to be far better. And I'll be able to model a lot quicker when I get a bit more comfortable with this and figure out where all this stuff is. So overall, my 2 bits worth of on this is there's some powerful tools that come out in this new modeling software, and the way they changed it. So as much as you're going to have a brief period of time where you're going to be mad at your mother-in-law for reorganizing the shop, I think it's a great process change that they've made. And I think, and historically, Vectric keeps adding better tools as they put these things together. And this is a great tool. This is probably the one that's going to take the most for me for another week or two to get to learn it. I have 2 other, out in my shop, I have 2 CNC machines that both have Aspire on them. And even now I go out there and I still have 11.5 on those 2 because there's no Wi-Fi out there. I have to bring them in and update them. And I find myself getting very comfortable, more used to these sets of icons and tools where they're located than the tools that were out there. So overall, I would say being able to modify a 3D model in this screen over here is probably the single biggest change that's going to impact modeling. Other than that, they've made the tools more, the amount of transit time you're going to have moving your mouse around trying to build tools, which is going to drop way down. It's going to be way more efficient for building tools. And there's, some nice changes that they made that are just workflow wise. But I don't think for any of you guys that were looking for something that was going to instantly make models for you, that's not going to happen. It's always going to take some artistic skill, and you need to get engaged with people like Bull and the Meg and Kyle and the fine folks at IDC, Garrett and the ladies over there who can help train you. But it's a great upgrade, and I think it's worth doing. And then it sets you up to be ready for whatever comes next in Aspire 13.0. So I encourage you to go play with it, and I think you can try it online and see if you can get your fingers used to driving this thing this way, and have some fun with it. And if you get a chance, stop by Scott Art CNC and drop us a note there on Etsy. And if we can help you with files, or if you just need some help on figuring out what you're doing with Vectric, drop me a note. And I always have a little bit of time to chat with fellow nut jobs who are playing with this stuff. So have fun